One thing I can say about Ruto, even without touching about that nikianzia, is that he is one tactical man. He is a man of strategies. You cannot run away from the fact that Ruto is one of the, should I say, wisest politicians that we have in the country. Na hata usiposhika kitu ingine, nataka uelewe kwamba how Ruto became president in 2022 was not just an abrupt event, but rather kitu alikuwa amepanga kutoka kitambo sana. You see, one thing yenye alifanya ndio a clinch to power, ama ndio hustlers wenye alikuwa anaita hustlers wamchague, ni kujifanya vile alikuwa religious na vile alikuwa a very staunch Christian, and so Christians believed that by electing Ruto, then it means that they are electing a man of God to the presidency to save them from the evils that had been done by the previous presidents, by the previous governments. But when he got into power, he at some point alipotea kidogo, ikakuwa ni kama zile vitu alikuwa amewaambilia hakufanya, and so there was possibility that these Christians would turn against him. So when I see President Ruto starting now to use his wife and Dorcas Rigathi
apostle, she's an apostle, Dorcas Rigathi, when I see him using them to bring big or popular men of God to the country, I cannot run away from the fact that Ruto is still in a campaign mode, because he still wants to be re-elected in 2027. But one thing I can tell you, and Ruto knows this, if we had a strong candidate like Raila Odinga was in 2022, if we have such a strong candidate in 2027, Ruto anajua vizuri sana hangepita yo election. Why do you think
I can tell you why? Because the lies that he had in the campaign, kwa sababu naweza sema tu ni lies, and I know many people will attest that I was one of the people who was campaigning for Ruto very strongly and very vigorously. Sikuwa nataka mchezo. It is because I had bought whatever Ruto had told us that he wanted to do. I had read the manifesto, I understood the manifesto, and it seems whatever I saw in the manifesto was different from what was in Ruto's head, kwa sababu wakiingia alianza kufanya mambo mingi. We were here moving around speaking about cost of living and reducing cost of living. We spoke about pesa mfukoni, because we spoke about how government was overtaxing people that eventually made the Kenyan youth weak na wanakosa pesa mfukoni. Now akiingia, the first thing he did was to introduce formulas of increasing taxes. I don't know how increase taxes huwa inaongeza pesa kwa mfuko. All I know is that taxes ikiongezwa, if you are being tasked 10%, alafu tax iongezwe ikuwe 15%, ameingia kwa mfuko yako akatoa another 5%. So instead of motivating you economically, anakudemotivate, anafanya utoroke kwa biashara. Because many businesses have been crossed. That is not what Ruto had promised us. Alikuwa ametuambilia the opposite. I heard the other day pastors wakicomplain, wakisema alikuwa amesema ataleta ka ministry ya religious I don't know, whatever, something to do with religious leaders, watapoa ka ministry yao wakuwa wakifanya mambo yao huko. Though aliwafungulia the first week State House, wakaenda wakafanya vile wanataka. Saizi they are complaining. So Ruto knows that these people are frustrated about him. And so for him to bring such a big man of God from wherever alimleta, alafu alete afanye hiyo event ikuwe a national concern, I think he's trying to mobilize back the Christians, what do I say, the support of the Christians, so that they can now start seeing that hii mambo anafanya ndio tufinyirie, sio really kufinyiria, kwa sababu bado ako na Mungu ndani yake. He's being guided by God to do that, so that we can suffer, but eventually to succeed. So he wants Christians to understand whatever he is doing, even though he is failing. Na yeye pia anajua sana hakuna kitu anafanya yenye inaweza fanya adeliver whatever he had promised during the campaign.
Okay. Now, do you think it will work for him in 2027?
In 2027 it will work for him, apparently, because we don't have a strong candidate that can be able to compete with him. Because you see, Raila is running for the AU position. If Raila passes
or if Raila succeeds to get into AU chairmanship, then it means Raila will not be in Kenya's politics.
Yeah.
That means he has to withdraw from the Kenyan politics. If he withdraws and becomes the AU chairman, the AU chairman is not allowed to endorse anyone or to take any partial position in his country's politics, which means he cannot appoint anyone. Haizi kuja kwa country aseme that vile alifanya, was it in 2002 vile alisema tuchague Kibaki, akasema Kibaki tosha, na Kibaki akachaguliwa hadi na watu wao. This time round he will remain silent, he will not speak, but his sycophants will have a chance to speak, and maybe they will try and say that Raila has chosen this. But Raila is not supposed to appoint anyone. So that means even though Raila Odinga atakuwa nyuma ya another candidate that is not William Ruto, William Ruto will be running with a candidate who will have a hard time to mobilize voters, kwa sababu saa hii si ule mtu mwenye anaweza compete na Ruto, si ni Kalonzo. Apart from kusikizwa Ukambani, where else does Kalonzo say anything anasikizwa?
It is hard.
Nowhere. So unaona hata Kalonzo aliongoza ile NADCO document ile zile maoni walikuwa wanachukulia after Raila amekataa na tukaenda maandamano, Raila akisema alinyang'anywa. Si Kalonzo aliongoza ile National Dialogue Committee. Si sahi hiyo Dialogue Committee hiyo nini yote si wana focus na kuweka Raila kwa AU. So Kalonzo is never taken serious. Same way we don't, as Kenyans, we don't take Kalonzo seriously.
In short, William Ruto atapita tu.
In short, whether William Ruto atafanya kitu ama hatafanya, the person he is competing with is Kalonzo. Somebody who has no tactics or strategies to become president. Somebody who, if you ask me, has never planned at any time, at any given time, to become president and never wishes to become a president. Because if he wishes to become a president, then he would be doing something politically to show us that he wants to become president. All he is doing is to appear in televisions na kufanya to press conferences kama hii yenye nafanya, which has nothing to do with mobilizing votes. He's just a weak candidate. But if Raila Odinga anaweza enda a fail AU na arudi aseme anataka presidency ya Kenya, this time round I can tell you without blinking my eye that Raila Odinga will go with that position, because the simple thing he will do is to tell people that this is the Ruto you elected, this is what he had promised you, and he has delivered nothing. Na unajua alimshinda na kura sijui 200,000. That is a very little margin. It only requires somebody like me to identify Ruto is a liar or Ruto lied to us, na niongee na watu the same way nilikuwa na campaign, and Raila wins. All I'm saying is that Raila needs only a vote ya mtu kama Keym mwenye anaongea na watu, or mtu mwingine kama tuseme another strong politician to switch sides like Gathoni wa Mushomba vile ame switch side in Githunguri. And if Gathoni sings Raila tosha, Ruto is gone.
That's okay. So
whether aende religious, atulete mapata, hata alete wacha hivyo vile walikuwa wanaongea mapastors wanaanguka. Mpaka Shalin Ruto anaanguka ati anataka bwana. Acha hivyo anawaleta. Hata akileta wenye wanaangusha kila mtu Kenya. Labda atuangishe wakati wa kuvote, tukose kuvote. Vote peke yake.
Okay.
But I can tell you he will have a very hard time if Raila will run for the position again. But if Raila will not, then he will be re-elected. We don't have an option.